All right, everyone, welcome. All right, everyone, welcome to this Duda webinar. Today, we're excited because we're talking about leveling up site design, specifically Editor 2.0 updates and workflow hacks. You're going to be hearing from some experts today, and I've got to tell you, our company has completely transitioned to Editor 2.0, and we are never going back. And so we're going to be talking about the most powerful editor features, including things like the mega menu, link on container, hover effects, duplicating sessions, the new image drag and drop, which is extremely useful for agency pros who are looking to build sites quickly. And it's perfect for designers, builders, and more importantly, agency teams looking to level it up. So today I've got with me Stefan and Offrey. So Stefan, go ahead and introduce yourself. He's a web manager at Click, and he's been doing this for a long time. So I'm excited to hear what he's got to talk about.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Like you said, my name is Stefan. I'm a web manager at Click, located and from Iceland. So it's very sunny here now. Finally, we got some sun. But yeah, we've been with Duda since the beginning, from our end. And we're not like you. We're not switching anytime. So Duda Editor 2.0. Perfect, and everything has been working seamlessly with our partnership. So
that's awesome to hear. And you reminded me, Iceland is very far away from where I am, but I'm curious from the audience, if you guys can put in the comment section where you're from. I'd love to see where you're located because Duda's audience is so wide ranging. I love hearing where everybody else is from. And now, Offrey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Really glad to be here today. My name is Offrey. I'm with Duda's Tel Aviv office. I'm a product manager, product leader for the team who's currently focused on Editor 2.0 and all of the cool design and performance enhancing features that we've been releasing and we're going to talk about today. So can't wait to share more and to hear everyone.
And I got to tell you, sessions like this, I think, are so critical because a lot of my Duda friends are still using the old editor, and it drives me crazy. They have no idea all of the amazing capabilities that the Editor 2.0 can accomplish. So I'm excited to hear from a product manager who's actually working on this stuff, what your perspective is on it, and some of the cool features that people may not know. And these features are going to give you a competitive edge so you can make better websites than your competition, which is going to make you more money. So if you're interested in that, Stefan, why don't you go ahead and pull up your presentation and let's get it going.
Yes, sir. All right. Like Ron said, I'm going to be talking about it from a web agency perspective and how we got to the point where we are now. So to start with, I'm just going to share with you the agenda that I have. I split it down into 3 parts. So the first one would be walking through our journey, where we started, how we started by just building simple campaign landing pages into being a fully fledged web agency. In the next part, I'm going to go deeper into how our design workflow is and how our strategy is and how we reduce the need for revisions that we love all so much. And then the last part, a quick few tips for creative tricks and some of the tools that we use every day for inspiration and efficiency. So like I said in the start, I just want to introduce us. Click is a newly found web agency. However, it didn't start out as a web agency. We started as a small web department within a bigger company called Sahara. Sahara started out as a production company and then developed into a digital marketing agency. And they have the full 360 degree service, if I may say that. They have everything from photography to social media ads and running all the campaigns. But they faced a lot of problems when launching their campaigns because everything happens very fast here in Iceland. So somebody wants a campaign done today, and they need everything. They need a photo shoot. They need somebody to put it out on social media, and of course, they need a landing page for it. They need some way to track all the audience. They need somebody to sign up with a form or something. And they were having a lot of problems getting web agencies from Iceland to be able to do it like that. It took 3 to 5 business days and everything. And they started, why don't we just do it ourselves? And that's where Duda came in. So that was kind of why we went into the web department to begin with, just as a one-man department within Sahara, and now a fully fledged web design agency. So what we want to talk about is I want to go into how we were able to level up from that landing page one-man department into this web agency that we are now. And we started by thinking a little bit bigger. We stopped focusing only on campaign landing pages. We qualified and chose clients strategically based on how much we intend to work with our potential client. Is it only a one-time thing? Is there something that they would need more from us, as in more services, or something that we could provide to the biggest thing, and I don't know if it's a very controversial deal, but we had packages like a lot of agencies have. You were either package gold, silver, bronze, whatever. And the first thing that I did is that we got rid of that. Everybody in Iceland wants to make them feel special. They want to be not just a part of some sort of group or some sort of package. So we skip that one. So every offer that we make is a custom offer. Even though we're doing the same thing for different clients, we still want to make them feel special, and we'll go into depth about how and what they want, and how we can create a custom offer for each and every one. And just a little bit of kind of a trick on that one is, people always ask, like, how do you even come up with which price should be for this one and that one? And obviously it is very much based on your client. Who is your client? You wouldn't give the same price to some sort of plumber who's alone, or a national company, a bigger company. So always think about it like designing a logo or something. You wouldn't sell a logo to a plumber or a redesign to Nike for the same price, even though it's just a logo. So our main focus started out as only on informational websites, so not to focus on something complicated, something that we knew we could manage, and something that we knew we could uphold later on after we go live. And it was a very easy market to tap into, informational website. And then, I mean, just everything that only has information about, like we say, plumber, hairdresser, schools, for example, and stuff like that. So you can go big and have bigger clients, large websites, without having to do anything complicated. And like I said, we custom priced each offer based on the complexity of each client, their needs, which integration they would need, what kind of layout, do they need custom widgets or something like that, but not into that package deal where, like, how many pages do you need or something like that. Because for me, I've never understood the page count thing, as in, for me, it doesn't matter if my client has 5 sub pages or 10. And that copy paste works usually rather easy. So it's not the biggest deal for us. So yeah, that was kind of how we were able to get the clients we wanted. Later on, obviously, were able to go into a little bit more complicated direction with Duda, and using the sandbox, obviously, as well, and customizing some apps and payment gateways and stuff like that. But at the beginning, definitely recommend going for informational website and take something that you know you can handle.
Yeah, I just want to step in really quick, Stefan, based on what you just said. So many themes that you're talking about. Pricing, which is a huge theme. introduction of AI and how that's dramatically changed pricing per page count, which is really, really important. But let's start with the pricing, because you said you're in Iceland, right? So
Yes.
I'm in the United States, and I have people in the chat that are from Canada. Some are in Brazil, some are in Florida. So people are all over the place. Some are in Peru.
Mhm.
Um, when you talk about your pricing structure being custom, and you mentioned a great point, you're not going to charge a plumber the same amount for a logo than you would charge Nike, because there's risk involved. If you mess up Nike's logo, that's a huge problem. If you mess up a plumber that doesn't get much traffic's logo, it's not that big of a deal. However, tell us a little bit about what that custom price range is. I know not prices are not exact, but when people that run agencies say price, a lot of the times the people watching this, they don't know what that means. They need a number. So could you quantify what that range might look like for one of these customized approaches?
Yes and no, maybe. The first one, obviously, what we go through, and I'll explain it a little bit later on, is that we go through sprints and see, just to begin with, how much time is this going to take us? What are we going to create for the client? Obviously, we will take, I'm not saying that everything that we do isn't like very well done, but like you said, when the risk factor is higher, we obviously spend way more time on it, do more user testing and everything. Because, like you said, it's going to have way more effect on us as a company if something goes badly, or if it goes well, it's going to get more traffic, and we're going to be more noticeable by Nike launching a new logo or a website than some plumber that somebody, some get hundreds of visits per month versus thousands or tens of thousands. So it can value from it's a huge gap based on the size of the company. But I think most of the people that are watching would be in the lower segment part of the pricing, and we don't differentiate between a small company and a medium company. It's very similar, I would say. It's when you get to that national based company that you would go way higher.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you for the answer. So it's really based on risk.
It definitely is. Yes, 100%. Risk for you, risk for the company or your client that you're working with. We also took that decision that Duda is we're very vocal about Duda. We advertise ourselves as Duda partners. We white label our internal editor, but we also, that's like one of the first things that we mentioned, is that we are Duda partners. It makes everything way easier. It builds instant trust with the client. It allows the user to do more research about the platform. And obviously, being nice, then they're not going to be trusting a small agency to, like, hey, what if your editor fails? Well, I got somebody in the back room. It's not like that. We got Duda. I go on Slack and send a message to the developers like, hey guys, something's up. Can you fix it? And so that one as well, using the Duda University, they can see how much of an organization it is. So I know a lot of firms and agencies are doing this whole white labeling thing. I wouldn't recommend it for the smaller ones, definitely not, because it builds so much more trust.
Yeah, and just to comment on that too, it's so funny that you say that. I just got a text from a customer that says, "What website platform are we on? I'm trying to recommend you to somebody." And I said, "Duda." And then he said, "Did you spell something wrong?" And I said, "No, that's the name. It's called Duda." And I explained to him the inspiration from the Big Lebowski. And if they go on builtwith.com, they're going to find out. If they really want to find out what you're using, they will do that. So I think it's really clever that you've used it as a selling proposition rather than something you're trying to hide from the client. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. And we don't want to advertise it as like, hey, we created a new system, like you said. It's, if they want to find out where it's from, it's builtwith.com, enter the URL, and there you have it. So not the toughest thing to do at all. I wanted to go a little bit into the sales process that we have, from discovering the client, talking to them, and how we come up with the offer that we talked about earlier about the sprints that we have. What we do is that we meet up with the client to begin with, and we get the information what we need to know before we make an offer to the website. We really want to understand why the client needs this website and what would a successful website for them look like, and especially what problems are we solving with a new website. Is it just because they want a new one, or are they actually having some problems with the website or with the clients that visit the websites, so we can get like the root of the problem. Um we also clarify if content, branding, visuals are ready. Do they need any help? We got a graphic division as well. We identify some sort of special features if they need one, some integrations if they need that for the web, and maybe some complexity that could affect the scope of work for us. We then get a rough sense of the timeline and who's involved in like in approvals, and if I can get out a budget or a suggestion of what kind of budget they're working with, then that's a bonus. However, we always try to end with asking them if there's anything that we could do to make this project a total success. What's like the most favorite thing that you would like to have? And we try to focus a lot on that so we can give the client exactly what he wants. So that's the first meeting going into before we create the offer. Our sale process and the sprints that we have is split into 6 sprints. We deliver them a custom quote based on hours, as in we go into and thinking how many hours this is going to take, put it up in percentages and show them the visual breakdown of the proposal and what's included, what's not included. I put up a proposal in Icelandic krona, so it sounds like a lot. 1,423,900.
There's the pricing.
Yeah, that's a lot. It sounds a lot. But just to show you like how we split up the sprints that we have, we do, like I said, the 6 sprints, and it just gives structure and it prevents endless revisions. And the reason and how we do that is that we have clients confirm after each sprint so that they give us like the go ahead to move to the next sprint. If the client wants to go back a sprint, so let's say we are in sprint 5 and we are ready to launch, and they're like, oh, well, I wanted to change like the layout of da 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 da. We're like, yeah, no problem at all. Just know that we're going all the way back to step 2 and 4, and it's gonna be adding more hours. So it usually, like when you get to that point, you're almost finished with the sprint. It like you usually, are there any more comments or anything that we can do to get this sprint finished, and then they know it's done. It helps so much with revisions and everything. So definitely recommend setting up some sort of system that would help with that. It also just gives the client an idea of how much time we're going to spend on each sprint and where we are in the process of finishing the website.
While you're talking about this, Stefan, and I think it's really, really clever that you break him up in this way. And looking at your percentages of work completion, I would agree completely with what you have here. Content creation used to be a huge part of it, and then AI dramatically reduced that. I'm now seeing design and content planning is now dramatically being reduced too. But I'm seeing more time is actually increasing in discovery and planning. But that's not my question. My question is, Hans asked, does your price change or depend on the geolocation of a client?
Yes, in Iceland, no. Everybody in Iceland would be on the same price structure. It's not a big country, of course. But if that's what he's talking about, but yes, when working with international companies from the US or something, we do have to think about their competitors over there and what sort of budget that they could be working with, because obviously I can't give them the same number that we would give to somebody here in Iceland. So I definitely take that into consideration without losing money on it. Obviously, I know that labor is cheaper otherwise, like in other places, but It also has to make sense for us. If
That
that
makes
answers
sense.
your question, Hans. Let me see. We should be on to part two, which is how our design workflow works and what kind of strategy we use. These are all the steps that we have for now. It's been changing so many times and always developing with new features. And like it might apply to some of you, might not. Hopefully, it will give you some sort of inspiration to take from it. So, the onboarding and setup that we use, like I said, we are a small company uh, from a bigger mother company called Sahara. So we are using Google Drive for everything, for all the internal filing system from production, graphic to web. And therefore, we need to use something. We can't just be collecting data and files and everything on Duda. We have to use a bigger platform for that one. And since Duda for now does not offer sitemap, and stuff like that, which I hope and I hear might be coming sometime. Sometime. We use Milanote a lot. We use it for our clients and we use it internally as well. If you haven't heard of it, check it out. They have a browser version. They got a computer app version as well, desktop version, where you can share everything with your client. We have our client goals, we have the mood board, we have the sitemap, and they can come in and comment and upload things. And it it works very smoothly to do that just in the beginning to set up a process with your client. And just a few helpful tools when starting out is the image downloader. So I thought everybody knew about it, but walking around the office, I asked a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, you can do that." So, Image Downloader is an extension for Google Chrome, where you can go into a website. So, let's say you're doing a redesign for a company, and they like, "Oh, we want all of our images just transferred over to the new one." Go in, click that button, and it gives you the option of downloading every single image on their website. Very quick and easy, and nice feature to have. As well as what we do is that we use something called Go Full Page, which captures a screenshot of your website. And it's just a fun little thing to do is to do like a before and after of the website. So, and also if you have some case studies on your website to do like a before and after with those screenshots. So,
Yeah, that
recommend it.
one's the real secret.
Yeah.
A Go Full Page, when I learned about that, Adam Strange asked, what were the Chrome extensions called? There's two of them. There's Image Eye, there's Image Downloader, and then there is Go Full Page. And Go Full Page is cool because it allows you to edit the image, download it as a PDF, download it as a PNG, and it's super, super smooth. So that one, whenever I show somebody that, they always ask what it is. So I'm glad that you brought those up.
It's very nice, and you can do it even like take it a step further and use the before after within Duda and do like a slider where you do like before and after of the website, so you can see visually how you change the website. So
That's a great tip. I've never even thought of that.
yeah, I think that's pretty smart to do actually. So a neat trick.
Nice.
Here is one screenshot that we have from Milanote, so you can kind of just see what we do and how we use it. And this is just for us to go a little bit into the design workflow, but I think most of you should already know that obviously you build it first and then you design it later on. We keep the sitemap with the client very lean. We keep it goal orientated. We try to merge low value pages like FAQ, contact us, or something like that, or about us. And we try and look at each page individually, like, well, what would be the goal of this page? Can it be combined with another one? Obviously, people don't want to be looking for things too long, but only if it makes sense. Yeah. And the main thing in the sitemap creation is talking to your client. We talk a lot to our client, like which part of your website is working for you, which one isn't, which one isn't being used at all. And especially, I think the most important question is to ask your client, what questions do you get frequently asked? And by defining those questions, you can really see, okay, there's a subject within the website that's not either being shown very well, it should be displayed on the front page maybe, or it's categorized in a completely wrong category. Yeah. So that gives us a better way to help with the structure and how the website should be structured. So definitely recommend talking to your client and asking them what kind of problems they're having with the website. Now, that one we also use in Milanote, the mood board. So before we start designing or go any further than that, we talk to our client again and ask them, what is it that you want out of this? We show them around 10 websites, maybe. Usually try to do it from the same industry and show them some examples and ask the clients to choose 3 of them and explain to us why. Why is it that you're choosing that? Maybe they like the full screen banner on this one. They like the font on this one, but it gathers design information for us regarding like fonts, colors, layout, image style, and more like that. So that's kind of like, what does the client want from this? And then we go a little bit more deeper and inwards and ask them, like, who are you? We ask them to describe their company in 3 words. We ask them what the visitor or the user should feel when they get into your website. And me being a graphic designer as well, I always ask them, what does your logo represent? What does it mean? What's the meaning behind it? And I always hope there's some sort of meaning behind it, not like, oh, it was a cool circle or something. So it will give us an idea of combining like what they want and who they are and giving them the kind of perfect design that they're looking for. Once finished with that, we go into wireframing. We do that on Milanote usually as well, since we have everything there. We try to hide that from our clients. It's not very visually pleasing to do like a wireframe, and it usually gives them more chance to, I want to say butt in, but we as professionals should know the flow of the website a little bit better than our client, what works, what doesn't. So yeah. After doing that, we go into our design foundation. We use the 60-30-10 rule as much as we can based on the brand, where we have, if you don't know, it's 60% of the main color in the background, 30% used on sections, cards, navigation, and 10% of the accent colors, like call to action buttons, highlight something that you really want people to see or don't miss out on. Some of the tools that we use for that one, I would recommend going to colors.co with 2O. It should be somewhere here on the slide. That one can generate color palettes for you. You can choose a color that you already have. Let's say a client only has one color, but they want something to do, like maybe do something with the 60-30-10 and get like 2 colors to work with it. You could go in there and generate a palette from that color it has. Recommend that one. And if you don't have color picker, Google extension, go get it now. Run, don't walk, as in you can go into the extension, hover an item, whatever, and it gives you the code that you need, the hex code or the SNYK code or something that you would definitely need that one for your extension library. Now the fonts that we like, the fonts, when we try to either decide on fonts or help client with the fonts, they usually have one font, maybe 2 times sometimes. We try to help them if they're changing fonts or if they're creating a new brand, to choose the fonts based on tone, as in elegant. Do we want it clean? Do we want it very tech-y? And then what kind of function is it going to have? How is it going to be used in headlines versus body, paragraphs, and stuff like that. So Some tools to be able to use on that one, I would definitely recommend FontJoy, which you can go in and just play around, randomize font, but they will give you fonts that pair well together. So if you're not that crazy font guy, I can admit that I'm not the best one. I can't identify all of the fonts in the world, and I love going in there and just finding new combinations to use. Just like the color picker, Font Ninja is a perfect uh, Google Chrome extension where you can just hover any font on the website and you can see which font they're using. So that one is very helpful when redesigning, or if you just see a font that you like, go in there and save it and remember it for later on. As well as we use Google Fonts and icons a lot. So if you're not using that one, it's very nice to use and for free as well. No license based or anything. So recommend that one as well. Going a little bit into the UI UX tips is that we start every design once everything is ready. And I hope everybody's doing that. If not, I recommend doing it. Is set up everything globally to begin with within the editor. Go into typography, button styles, colors, and everything before you start adding content. You can obviously use the pre-built sections and everything just to see how it's going to look, but definitely recommend doing it all before. We also built all the framework in the Duda page builder if we can. We go through some sort of creating custom section or something like that. We always go in, create it fully on desktop before working on other devices, so we have everything hovering, spacing, etc., and then adjust it on each device before going into duplicating it later on. It will save so much time for repetitive settings. And now that we have the global spacing and everything that is now in the new editor, it's even easier. So what we do then is that we share our design with the client. And we actually had a chat about this in the Facebook group, Duda Web Pros, where people were asking, what do you do when previewing to your client? And the thing is that we always publish our website straight away. We publish it with our white label domain so that the client can get like the full experience. Like it's the first time that it's seeing it. And instead of having to say like, oh, if you are in desktop, go here, click the icon and see in it, then you can see it better. We tend to publish it every time, so we send them a link to it. So if they, most of the time, open it up in their mobile device, it's just perfectly clear on how it's going to look once the website goes live. And I recommend, and a lot of people in there were talking about it, that that's also their go-to move instead of using the preview.
Yeah, and I think the science behind that is showing the client visually is a lot different than them actually playing with it on their own computer or on their own phone.
Mm-hmm.
And when they can start clicking through buttons, when they can start seeing how things interact themselves, that's when that website really becomes real for them.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about the UI and the UX, specifically of making the sites on Duda, is that you can create that link with your logo and with your brand and allow them to play with it. So I think that's a genius idea.
Yeah, it's very nice. And they, like you said, they get the full experience. Like they're paying a lot of money for it, obviously. And when it comes up like, oh, well, this button didn't work or this link isn't working on, this isn't doing that. Like they should know that obviously it's just a draft, but it still gives them this kind of insecurity kind of feeling if something isn't working. They're like, oh, is this like, was this not the right move, you know? So yes, definitely recommend that one. I had a little shout out to the Duda team for CSS, adding class names for each section. Thank you. It has been a huge game changer. Being able to like, okay, here you go, class, go into and edit it with CSS is just been a major breakthrough for us. And even if you don't know a lot of CSS, use ChatGPT like as much as you can. I know CSS, but it's just way faster to be able to use AI for that kind of feature. And who knows if Duda is coming up with CSS AI anytime soon. Would be nice. I am going to give it over to Offrey in a while. I'm just gonna finish up this one slide, and then Offrey's gonna show you some of the things that you've been waiting for. Obviously, the mega menu and hovering effects on the stuff like that. But I just wanted to finish the process that we have for designing the website. In the end, once everything is agreed upon and we put all the material in, we use the Duda editor comments a lot. I think the best way to be able to get the client more involved with the website. Go in, here's your go in, click on anything you don't like, and give us a comment, give us a feedback. And it's also better for us internally because it gives us, like, anyone from our team can go in, make the updates that the client has put in, and it gives us a quicker response time. So the client is way happier when he sees that all of his comments from yesterday have been resolved within a day. So definitely recommend using that one if you're not. And finally, we do some going on responsiveness on all of these devices. We go through link behavior, especially nice now after we could use the SEO dashboard for it to identify broken links and stuff like that. So definitely recommend that. I'm not going to keep you waiting more for Offrey and some brand new design elements. So take it away, Offrey.
Thanks, Stefan. Really interesting, and thanks for giving us an insight on your process, and very, very cool like shortcuts and extensions and stuff. So definitely made notes. So let me just share my screen real quick. Can I get my screen, please? Thank you. All right, so I prepared a short deck with just kind of a handful of design-related features that we released over the past couple of months, things that we are really excited about here in Duda and getting great feedbacks from our customers. And I really just wanted to share this with all of you, make sure you're all aware of all those latest updates, and maybe give you some teasers about things that we are currently working on. And of course, drop your questions in the chat if you have any about things I'm going over. So the first thing I want to share, this has already been out since March, but obviously something we are super excited about and super proud about, the mega menu. This has been a long time coming and much awaited by many of our customers. It's basically a new design element, complex and design flexible section that is linked to a main navigation item and allows you to style your navigation basically however you like. It's just a regular editor 2.0 section, which means you can add any widget to it, animations, custom widgets, custom code, any sort of links. Just really opens a whole new world of design opportunities, and really, really great for more complex site structure with many navigation items, with many different types of content. And I can tell you that we are working on more improvements for the mega menu, the ability to add multiple sections for each mega menu item, and also to reuse mega menu sections as custom sections, so you can take your mega menu designs and reuse them in several sites on your account, and save a lot of time and just get your beautifully designed mega menus out everywhere. If you're not sure, when to use the mega menu, what is it right for? It's right for a lot of sites, maybe not all of them, but some very common use cases are travel and hospitality sites. It allows you to showcase like packages, promos, and different destinations. If you are, if it's a hotel or like a multi-location travel agency, stuff like that. Also very big in education segments, so colleges, schools, universities that need to show different departments, different programs, different courses, resources, portals for parents, portals for students. So this can really give you a very organized way to separate and display everything. Brands with many subdivisions that want to display different logos and different themes. And of course, e-commerce sites with large catalogs with different categories, subcategories, products that you can display also in galleries and connectable widgets. In the GIF in this slide, you can see an advanced tabs widget inside the mega menu, which allows you another level of hierarchy inside the mega menu. So really the possibilities are endless here. And we're seeing a lot of great designs our users are doing with this. All right, so moving on to the next thing. Some maybe smaller additions that, but not less important for smarter and smoother interactions. A bunch of small improvements we've made to our header and navigation. The ability to add a sticky nav section on scroll. This means that if your default header is maybe big, complex, contains a lot of content, but when the user scrolls down, you only leave one section visible. That's the section that contains the navigation links. This allows your site visitors to explore the site freely without having a big header blocking them as they're scrolling down and looking at more site content. They just see the important thing at this stage, which is the navigation item and whatever content they're currently viewing. So small but important feature. Another thing is the hamburger widget, also an addition we are super proud of. The hamburger is no longer like a header element or an element that's dependent on your navigation. It's a regular widget like any other Duda widget. This means you can edit anywhere you want. It doesn't even have to be in the header. It can be added anywhere in the site. You can hide it on one breakpoint, show it on another. You can fully customize the hamburger icon. You can change the icon. You can change color, size, alignment, anything you will be able to do with any other Duda widgets. And really, really new release just from like a couple of days ago. You can now use design sections and custom sections in the header. So this means, again, if you already designed a really beautiful header and rich header, you can save it as a custom section, reuse it in another site, or customize it in the same site, and also use our pre-designed sections inside your header. So another really, really awesome feature that we are happy to deliver. Let's talk about micro animations. This is a very, trending topic right now. You can basically see it everywhere in websites, and we're talking about very, very small, subtle animations. In this case, our latest edition is hover animations. You hover over a container, over an element. You get a little movement or a little change of color. And this is, again, small but super significant. It's really, really adding to the site's conversion and to your customers' engagement. So there is like some researches that were made on web design showing that sites that are using micro animations correctly increase conversion events on the site by dozens of percentage. And yeah, we have like a variety of different effects you can add, and this can be added to any container in 2.0. So section, column, column and advanced grid.
Offrey, really quick, we've got 2 comments here from Orazio and Jordy, and a couple of them are really asking about fast start tips for going to Editor 2.0 before going into the actual widgets. And I myself have gone through this specifically. I would like to address Jordy's comment if that's possible. He mentioned, just like above, it's useless since most of my sites are in the classic editor, because I actually went through that, so I know the pain of what that's like. But if you can go through some of the fast start tips for Editor 2.0, I think for most Duda agencies, it seems like such a big jump, but we don't know what we don't know. So is there anything that you can share that are fast start tips for going into Editor 2.0, maybe from somebody who's never used it?
So first of all, if you are already using in your classic sites flex sections are reusable in Editor 2.0. So you can save those sections and then just add them into your Editor 2.0 sites. So if you already have a site in the classic editor that is mostly built with flex sections, that should be super easy to move over to a new Editor 2.0 site. You just save your pages as custom sections. You can save a full page as a custom section and just drop it in a new site. And that basically leaves you just the header and footer to redesign. So that's like a super quick way to get started. But even if you don't, I suggest maybe choosing one of our newer templates in Editor 2.0, just to kind of familiarize yourself with all those features that I'm showing now that are unique to 2.0, play with it, understand how it works. And I think that, once you see that, you'll just want to move, because you'll just see how designing on 2.0 is just much simpler. And like Stefan mentioned, you do the design on the main breakpoint, on the desktop breakpoint one time, and you just need to do kind of very, very minor adjustments in all the other breakpoints. I recognize that currently, it does require you to kind of rebuild the sites, but I think the rebuild is, much faster here than it would be to like rebuild the site on Classic. I know that a lot of our agencies, a lot of our customers are kind of using this opportunity that if a customer, an existing customer comes back to them now and wants like a change on the site, like updating their colors, updating their logo, or like, making some change on the site, they would say like, hey, how about a site redesign? And then they end up, rebuilding their site on 2.0. So it's something you can kind of start with and say like, okay, I'm just going to start by sites that I anyway have a redesign planned, or, this customer wants to, or all the new customers that I'm onboarding from now, I'm going to start on 2.0. And once you have a couple of sites that like you built on 2.0, it's going to be much easier to sell this redesign to your existing customers and do the transfer. I do understand that people are like, looking for more like a seamless transfer. And this is something, that we are thinking about. We have like several different directions that we are exploring. And as soon as we have something more concrete, we'll share it.
That's a great answer. And that's exactly where my brain was going, specifically on Jordy's question, because we have 300 and something websites under management. So for us to put all of them in Editor 2.0 is a huge undertaking. However, if you're an agency selling services, think of the website that should be done. Think of the website as something that should be done every 2 years or so. And so think about when your next conversation is with your client, propose to them that your capabilities have gotten better, the technology has gotten better. We don't get into the nitty gritty of the editor's version and things like that, but we just let them know that technology has changed and things have gotten better and there's new features that we can do. And if they're willing to explore that, then we renew their contract with Develomark, our agency. But it's all in the way you position it. I think the way Offrey said it is really perfect. And in that way, there's more than likely the client needs to be redesigned because there's just newer things, just like the iPhone. If they kept the same iPhone for the next 10 years, their customers wouldn't be happy, but things that are newer are always going to make the product better. To Stefan's point, if you're building these websites with these gigantic sitemaps, you're going to lose. And the reason for that is because all of these pages become more management for you. And so really lean in on the dynamic pages that Duda provides. using features like Airtable to manage the content at scale, but really focus in on the design on a few key pages, as Stefan showed with the sitemap. And this way, transitioning to Editor 2.0 isn't that big of a time suck, and you get much more out of it. So I think that you answered that really well.
Thanks, cool. And thanks for the question. It's a really good one. I'm going to move on. All right, so another cool, really cool and really long-awaited feature is the clickable containers. You guys, our customers, have been asking for ages to give you the ability to make an entire column linkable or an entire section linkable for your more complex CTA designs. For example, you want a button, but you want an image background and 3 different texts on the button and an icon, and you want the whole thing to be clickable. And that's something that is now available, again, on any container, column, inner column, section. Just add a link to it. It can be linked to anything. You can even add a link inside the link, so make the entire container clickable and yet add another button inside. This is also really great for mega menus, as I discussed earlier. So inside the mega menu, you can make an entire mega menu column lead to the same place, but really just gives you design freedom to create CTAs, as beautiful or as crazy as you want them. So let's talk about some layout and content releases. We released layouts for every breakpoint. So this is something that until recently was available for the tablet and mobile breakpoint. Basically, if your section contains multiple columns, you were able to set how you want those columns structured, whether it's stacking or side by side, or if it's more than 2 columns, then you can decide how many rows you want those columns to break into. And this is now also available in desktop, and you can set a different layout in different breakpoints per section. What this means just design better, faster. It means designs that before that you needed maybe to add advanced grid and inner columns and play with the width of each column and play with responsive units. Now we kind of do it for you. You just need to choose the layout that works best for you. And as you can see in the GIF here, you can play with it, see what works best, and change it in the click of a button. So super great, like a productivity tool that really helps design better. Another thing we added recently is the ability to set your default site content. So this is something our users ask for, and this is especially relevant for those businesses who are used to displaying their sites in screen sizes that are maybe not the standard. So for example, if you're usually displaying your site on a big screen TV, maybe in a conference or in a clinic, in a lobby or something like that, the concept of sections that are not full bleed or not full width, sections that have a lot of content, a lot of text, and if you put them in full width on a big screen, that would be like a headache for anyone looking at them. So you want the content to be kind of centered in the middle of the section. And until recently, we only allowed that content to be like in a fixed width of maximum 1200 pixels. So now it's possible to customize that width. You can choose anywhere between 960 pixels to 1920 pixels, which is better for maybe larger screens. And you can also adjust this to be in VW size units, which is responsive to the screen size. So again, super flexible, and it accommodates any screen size, even the unusual ones. And this is a small one, but a really good one. Duplicate section. It makes everything so much faster with the click of a button. No need to copy paste, no need to save a section. A lot of times you are designing a page where all the sections are basically the same structure. You just change the content or maybe change the color a little bit. So just another really, really useful shortcut that is now in your floating bar. And this is my last slide. It's kind of a teaser for something we are working on these days, and it's going to come out in the next couple of weeks. And that's global spacing for section. We're going to add this to the theme panel, and you'll be able to set the default padding for your spacing in any unit you want. It can be percentage or pixels or anything we currently offer in the design panel. And that will apply to all your new sections. It will save you a lot of time. Of course, you can always override it per specific section from the canvas. But again, major time saver and kind of great way to streamline your design. So these were my updates for today. Hope that was like interesting for you guys.
Yeah, it's great to see what's coming up. And, we have a comment here of Brand Agency, and they're curious to know about any potential AI features for future website development. Offrey, is that any information that you can share, that you have prepared to share? Anything that they can see before 2026 that are coming?
Definitely. We have some really, really major AI updates coming. Also ones that are more kind of code oriented and will help our users who are not developers do things that they weren't able to do before inside the Duda editor with AI. This is really coming out, very, very soon. I don't want to make any spoilers, but you can expect really big announcements soon.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about in Dudacon too, where there's going to be multiple sessions on multiple days of us diving deep into how to use AI, productivity that you can use specifically with and without the Duda platform. For me, and Stefan, I'm sure that you agree, something as little as allowing Duda to select the alt text for an image, and that little purple star that shows up has saved us a ton of time. And so we really, 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 really want to make sure that you guys go to the Dudacon event on July 8th to the 10th, listen to over 25 speakers online talk about from a range of different topics. And so maybe we could put the link up there so people can bookmark it and they can visit that and register for it. I will personally be hosting a whole day of it, so I'm excited to hear from 25 different speakers on stuff like that. But before we close off, Stefan, any comments that you heard during Offrey's presentation?
I wanted to comment a little bit on the editor 1.0 going to 2.0, because everything that you said is correct. And I would just like to share what we have been doing is that I know that it is frustrating to go from one system to another and not being able to copy paste everything, but we use it as an opportunity to reach out to our clients again, that sometimes we haven't, like everybody knows this, like sometimes you haven't heard from your client in a year or something because they're just very happy, they're able to do everything on their own. Sometimes the platform is just too good, so I don't need to help them at all. But it makes us it gives us a reason to reach out to our clients again and say like, hey, we just got this new amazing editor. What it does for you, it's better for responsiveness. It's better. It's going to be faster. It's going to be easier for you to do everything. So would you like me to just send you a proposal and we can move everything from here to there? And most of the time people are very glad that we reach out and want to like, hey, let's go ahead. I like that. So use it as an opportunity and see it as a good thing instead of something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as an agency, you can use communication methods to notify them of that stuff. If you're creating videos, if you're writing emails, if you're doing phone calls, and let them know about the new possibilities and then allow them to buy that service. A lot of the times it's just telling people that you exist and what you have to offer. Most people just don't tell people they exist. So your client's never going to say, hey, can you put me on editor 2.0? That's just unrealistic. We have to notify them of that information. So Dudacon is going to be really exciting. We're going to talk about a lot of things during that day, those 3 days, and we are going to ultimately, AI is going to be a huge discussion. So Brandy Kit Agency, thank you so much for putting that comment. And thanks everyone for joining today. This was a really great time. Offrey and Stefan, thank you so much for your time. I learned a lot. And as you were presenting, Offrey, I was screenshotting some things and sending it to my group Slack. So if you saw me slacking off, that's why.
Thank you, everyone. Great to meet the both of you and everyone that joined us on chat as usual. I'm really happy to share all those cool things with everyone.
All right, guys. Have a nice day.
You too.